Spatchcock Nation is in the house. Unfiltered, uncensored, and unapologetically for the people. Turn it up. Yo, we're climbing out and toweling off in this hot tub time machine. The squad's bringing back this vintage vibe, y'all. We're going to show you how to throw a 90s themed party. This goes with the Throwback Throwdown. Just posted this video all over the internet. It's all over the TV, so check that shit out. But we got 90s themed stuff, y'all. We got outfits, food, music, drinks. Bro, nostalgia on tap and some great drinks on tap, too. So we're just going to bump this thing out. And the first thing I want to do is introduce my homeboy, the man of the hour, number 24 in your program and number 1 in your hearts, the great Alexander DeRosa.
What's up, man?
How you doing, baby?
I don't know if you knew this about me, but my childhood was all in the 90s, like everything about it, like the prime of it.
I think some of your adulthood is still in the 90s, too, the way sometimes you carry on and get down,
That's fair. That's fair, yeah.
So you're bumping to Mortal Kombat, bro.
Yeah. This was the classic game. Actually still play it. Still a good game, but old school 90s original Mortal Kombat all the way through PlayStation. I mean, I don't know. PlayStation was 90s. I think it was.
Yeah.
It all feels like all those video game systems feel like the 90s.
I used to love Jet Moto, man. I wanted one of those.
Oh, yeah.
And you're mentioning like Mortal Kombat, dude. You know the stand-up video game machines?
Yeah.
Like, I remember in the 90s being like, someday when I'm a grows up, I'm going to get one of those things. And now I could actually afford one and I don't have one. So I'm sure my wife would love to come home. What's that?
They sell like Mortal Kombat specific ones at Costco. I almost bought one. It's like a stand-up full arcade and you can play all the Mortal Kombats.
Dude, you got to get one. I'm sure my wife would be cool with it. I'll put it right in the living room.
Like, I don't know where to put mine. Yeah. But I will tell you this, in this cabinet right behind me here, I have Jet Moto, the original PlayStation disc. I swear to God. And Twisted Metal.
Wow.
The problem is I have nothing to play it on. Like there's no system, so I just got the disc.
You know what you should just do though? Just throw it like, I mean, if you get like a vintage car and has a CD player, throw it in there, and I bet it'll play like that sick music from it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You think the new PlayStations allow you to play these games? So it's probably not as good as I remember.
Yeah, probably not, but back then it was mind-blowing. But, I don't know, man, like some of the 8-bit stuff from the early 90s holds up, like Super Mario Brothers, Duck Hunt.
Yeah, fair enough.
And speaking of that type of stuff, too, I want to shout out our fictional sponsors, Initech, dude, like great place to work, you know what I mean? Things get hot there sometimes, but,
I think it's pretty steady, though. Like the work seems pretty steady from what I
Yeah. Just as soon as the consultants roll in, you got to be weary about it. I'm waiting for a consultant to come in and watch our show and be like, so, Matt, what do you do here exactly?
Yeah. By the way, just on a side note, like make sure you put that cover on your TPS report when you send me an email from now.
Yeah, I will. I'll take care of that. Yeah, I got to get better about that. Like typically, like I don't want to cover anything. I mean, I like things topless. I like, Jeeps topless, humans topless. You know what I mean?
It's funny you like Jeeps topless, but you never have the top off your Jeep.
That's because you're making me do all this sort of work. I don't have time to take the top off,
Well,
That's kind of how it rolls.
If you own a Jeep, you got to be able to do the work to live a Jeep life. Otherwise, you can't be waving at other Jeeps. It's just not.
Yeah, that's probably fair because I got to say though, one of the things that my goal is hopefully we can get some people to watch this show because I want to be a 2-car person, have like a Cherokee or an SUV, and I'm going to buy an early 90s CJ7 Jeep Wrangler, take the top off when I buy it, and never put the top back on again. That's my plan. Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
With the snow, everything, just like straight up.
Well, it'll live in my garage. So when it's snowing, it can what I'll do is I'll probably like plug it into like a Mortal Kombat thing, so it can just like play Mortal Kombat during the wintertime.
While you drive, that's
cool. That'd be cool.
Good idea.
Let the Pioneer play, bump some NWA, some stuff like that. Would be pretty dope, dude.
I was more of an Iowa guy.
Yeah,
IWA. Yeah.
That's fair. I can get down with that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're here to talk about the 90s and celebrate the show. And we're bringing in one of the best people that we can think of for this. So let me get us all started on the great Adam Gold. Yo, homeboy, this dude is a restaurateur. He's a traveling touring musician. He's been on TV. He's a TV star. But, dude, this guy holds it down. He's holding us down for us from day one, right? This guy parties with celebrities. He has this restaurant, Funk N Waffles, which is near and dear to our hearts. We put food on their menu. We've collaborated on a recipe before. He was one of the first guests ever on our show. Dude, in Tedeschi trucks, when they're in town, they party at this dude's house. He's had like the Biggie Smalls experience, the Mike White experience, which is Biggie Smalls cover, which is super dope. My man owns the sickest food truck around. He's a rock star, cool cat. Yo, he's been the house band for Guy Fieri, which is pretty sick. Socially fresh as hell, dude. Awesome cat. And again, down, bro. He's down with our vibe. He's our motherfucking brother from another funk, dude. Great dude, regular show. So you know what? Let's welcome into the party the one and only Adam Gold. What's up, dog?
Hi, David. How we doing?
What's up, dude? How was that intro for you?
What an intro. God, I'm sweating over here. I'm sweating.
It's not even me, and I was hyped. I don't know.
This ain't right.
Yo, right. Like this back in the day, begging. I get it, man. But you know what? You got to call it like it is, dude. People bring it hard, and you got to celebrate that shit.
It means a lot, man. It means a lot, dude. It's great to have that kind of effect on people, you know?
Yeah, so you've had a huge effect on people. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to roll you some questions out, bro. And then we're going to get the crowd warmed up to your greatness. And then we're going to dive all the way into you. So first, man, we're just going to hit you with some things and really get your taste in the 90s. Because to me, like when I roll into Funk N Waffles, an example, or I see a Sophistafunk show, you got this sick vibe of different cultures, things coming together. You see a cat who was born in like, I hate to say it, like 2004, and they're rocking a French shirt and like on a table at the bar. You're like, what's going on? Like, you should try the waffles. I'm like, I've tried the waffles, dude. So here's my first question for you. And Alex is going to chime on this too, because I know he has an answer for this. But if you had to pick one 90s show that you were part of the cast, what show would it be and why?
Oh boy, man. Man, I think I got to go with Pete and Pete.
It's a great show.
This is near and dear. I mean, this thing is filmed in New Jersey, where I'm from. Yep. I've actually got a homie who is Little Pete. Like, we went to the same schools, you know. I grew up with Little Pete, you know. And I mean, there was a slew of amazing actors that were on that show. And it's just hilarious. It was almost like a live action cartoon, you know, real silliness, real out there stuff, real kind of trippy, psychedelic nature to it, but still like a kid's show, you know, kind of like what a lot of the successful shows are like today. I feel like they must have picked up on that back then to make it entertaining for both kids and adults. You know, you could be a parent and be like, this is crazy, you know, and then you could be a kid.
I can't believe you just said that. Yeah.
I remember that
the strongest man in the world.
Right. Yeah. Oh yeah.
I remember that the dude in Pete and Pete was like the guy that picked up the golf balls in the driving range.
Yeah, totally.
That's the only episode I remember, but I used to watch that all the time.
It's a deep cut for sure. I mean, some people, they just missed it. You got to be like 40 or something. You know, you got to be like up there to really know what it is. But it was sick. I mean, it was short lived, but it was, you know, it was a live show, and stories were kind of deep and intense, but yet also silly and funky. And you know, like I said, my boy Danny Tamborelli, you know, he was on the show, so we were all just stoked. You know.
Yeah, that's super dope when you see one of your people doing something big. You know what I mean?
So he was actually on the show.
He is Little Pete.
He is. I thought you meant like I know someone like that. Oh shit.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. What?
No, there's two Petes. There's Little Pete and Big Pete. And
I thought you were like, this dude like Little Pete. He reminds me of Little Pete. No, he's legit Little Pete.
No. He is literally legitimately Little Pete. You know, Danny Tamborelli, and he's still in the game. I mean, he's writing books, he's acting, he does voiceovers. I mean, he was in the Mighty Ducks, you know, like I actually performed with him for years in his band called Jounce. And we toured the country, man. I was playing keyboards, you know. I mean, he has a great. Now it's a trio. It's like kind of like a power rock trio, a lot of blues. But back then we had keys, and I was playing the funky music with him. You know, it was dope.
That's dope. I wonder, do you think anybody ever, when he was younger, you know, he's probably married and has kids now. Anybody ever made him like dress up as Little Pete? You know what I mean? Be like, hey.
I mean, for a minute, I think it was kind of old. You know, it was like. It was like you kind of wouldn't talk to him about it on purpose, so you didn't like bother him, you know. But I think it's kind of come full circle, and now that he's all grown and he has kids of his own, I think he's embracing it, and it's kind of nostalgia. I believe they have some shows like they go and perform as like Nickelodeon nostalgia, you know.
Oh no, is Pete and Pete on anything? Like the kids watch it still? Is it still on like demand, or is it just?
There might. I bet you. I mean, I bet streaming. I bet you could probably find it on like a Nickelodeon streaming or something. There's definitely DVDs out there.
Wow. So when you were out performing in this band later, he wasn't announcing himself as Little Pete. Like that was kind of just
no, not at all. No, because on that end, I think it was too close for comfort, you know. But I don't want to speak for him. He's got books about it, though. I mean, he's an author. Like, he's just crushing it, you know.
Oh, I would check that. So speaking of jamming, dude, I've wanted to ask you this question. I'm surprised I haven't before. If you could get on stage and jam and totally rock out with any 90s rock or hip hop star, who is your first choice?
Oh man, 90s rock and hip hop. Well, it would have to be Prince. And I mean, Prince, that answer works for like 5 different decades. So it's kind of a cheap shot. But like, I mean, really, like, we lost this man way too soon. And he was crushing it all the time. I mean, there's nothing funkier. Dude plays every instrument, writes like plethoras of amazing tracks, you know. I mean, just to be in the same room as him would be like just a dream, you know.
Dude, I have a Prince rubber ducky that just lives in my room right now. So I'm all for the Prince setup, dude.
Oh boy. Have you seen him live? Have you been to a Prince show?
No, and I had a shot when I lived in New York and I was younger, and something came up and I didn't go, and it's one of my biggest regrets, man.
I saw a show. Janelle Monáe opened. It was when she was like first popping, and it was at Madison Square Garden, and it was just nuts. I mean, there's no like you can't touch this. Like,
totally, dude.
Really crazy.
Speaking of you can't touch this, that was going to be my answer. MC Hammer. So
very nice. I like that.
Backup dancer, bankrupting man. You know what I mean?
Oh, that'd be amazing.
That would be. So speaking of songs, then let me get this from you too. All right, this is a 3-part answer, but with your eclectic flavor of music and life in general, we want to hear what your entrance song would be as like a pro wrestler or pro fighter. Your second one is going to be a stripper song. You're the stripper performing. And then the third one is like your career montage. Like when it's all said and done and they're giving you some lifetime award, or like at your funeral, like what's the highlight music? So entrance song, stripper song, career montage song.
All right. So I guess I have to go with the song Glide by Slave for that first piece. This is a super, super funky 70s track. And I used to play it first when I did my radio show here in Syracuse on WAER. And it's the kind of thing where like there's just huge slap bass line starting it off. It's outrageously funky. The lyrics are super dope and silly. And yeah, I mean, you can strut to this thing and kind of do voiceovers, and really hot track, really, really hot track.
Hell yeah.
For part 2, remind me, the second one was
stripper song. You're the stripper.
Yeah. I Believe in Miracles. You know what I mean? Like, that's so classic. Back in summer camp, I remember we did like a little stint like that as teenagers, and it was so perfect for that. It's like got that sexy kind of swang to it.
Oh yeah. And it's empowering too, dude. Body positivity, you know?
Oh, definitely, definitely. And then for a montage, I have to go with Jamiroquai, like one of their instrumentals off the first couple albums. There's one called like Rhineland or something like that, and it's just like super heavy, deep jungle funk for like 11 minutes. And I could just see great screen montage kind of moving from side to side. No lyrics. It was back when they had like a didgeridoo player. I mean, that early, and then that's 90s Jamiroquai too. That's like 94.
Like Canned Heat style. Yeah.
It was before it was famous in the US. I mean, they came out with their first record, I think 94 or something, and it was hot in Europe, you know. So
super dope. That video was awesome too. How about you, Alex? What are you rocking with that answer?
In my montage, that's a tough one. Well, Thunderstruck's going somewhere. I feel like I've covered that with you. That's my song.
That's very strong.
That might be my pro wrestler song, my professional wrestler song. Although I will tell you this, and Adam doesn't know this, but Matt does. I had a backyard wrestling, so I was technically a semi-professional wrestler, and my entrance song in there was a Disturbed song. I had Disturbed, and then I had some other band, and it was like a demo disc I had that I just thought the song was cool. But
that's serious.
Disturbed, Down with a Sickness. That was it.
That's a good one. I can roll that. All right. So for both of y'all, what is like a 90s nostalgia food that brings it back for you?
Oh man. I mean, like Dunkaroos or something, you know, like I'm thinking like what was in my lunch pail or something like that, you know. And Dunkaroos had that banging theme song too, right? You don't just dunk, you Dunkaroos or something like that, you know?
Yeah, definitely, dude.
And the kangaroo, yeah. The whole commercial.
You can get those now, like at Wegmans, like The checkout aisle's got like single Dunkaroos available. Like,
so as part of our 90s party, we made homemade Dunkaroos. We tried to play off, and in the process of like, I don't know, us testing them out and seeing what we like, we tried the original Dunkaroos, and I don't know, they weren't quite the same.
oh, okay.
They taste a little like, I have a lot of that thought with like, I used to love pizza rolls, like going from school, throw the pizza rolls, burn your mouth. They were like the best thing. I could eat a whole bag. Now I've tried them. I'm guessing my taste has changed, but they're like cardboard tasting.
Oh yeah. Like Elio's you're talking, like ELLI. Remember the Elio's?
No, like pizza rolls. Those little like
the little
Elio's are good too though. Or like bagel light.
You guys have kids, so you also were like, oh, that was good when I was a kid. And you tried, and you're like, this is terrible. But that's nostalgia, right? Like you go back and the food like Dunkaroos should be so awesome. The other day I was chilling and doing some work and researching some recipes and stuff. And I saw like on Netflix there was like a 1970s Godzilla movie. And bro, I grew up on that. That was my jam. I'm like, this is gonna be sick. And I'm watching it, and it was like, it was fun, but almost heartbreaking. Like, how did like 8-year-old me think that this was a giant monster? You know, it's clearly it's a dude in a suit bumping into cardboard.
Were you scared of it? Were you like nightmares and stuff?
No, I really wanted to. I identified more with Godzilla than the people running from him. You know what I mean?
That's hilarious.
Okay. I can see
which
that.
I get. All right, so with nostalgia on tap, here's a question that I'd love to hear about for you. What would the 90s version of Adam Gold think about the 2024 version of the same dude?
Oh boy. Oh, he'd be stoked. Are you kidding? I never thought I was going to sell waffles for a living. It's so silly and ridiculous, and still like it's amazing. It's like a dream. I mean, I would be like so pumped, like really, like I'm going to become like a waffle man. Like it's like totally out there, completely nowhere. I mean, I had no strategy or plan my entire life. I was just trying to have fun, trying to get into a college, trying to like pull it off, and this waffle thing just landed in our lap. So I think, I think I'd be really stoked to find out that I'm like still having fun playing live music. That definitely is a surprise too. It's a blessing to go and like tour the country and make music for people, music that you're writing yourself too. A lot of people, cover bands are like the most popular thing there is, but they didn't write that music, so
yeah,
like the easy way out. Like we're actually able to go throw down and we're making this stuff up ourselves, and people are getting down, so I think like little teenage me would be like really amped up to see that I could still do this sort of thing as like a grown individual.
That's awesome. So actually that brings up to something that we're going to start asking you some questions about you now, because man, like people around this area, probably in other areas too, Rochester, people got to interact with you there, Jersey, obviously, but people that came up in Syracuse look up to you for that style. So take us back to the way back, right? Like when you were in high school, like tell us how you got from there to like winning like business competitions to like all of a sudden just partying with rock stars, hanging out with Guy Fieri. Start us from the beginning, bro.
Oh man, I'm trying to think. Like, my dad is a baller. Like he's been in finance his whole life, and he started with nothing. The story of the family was always like, dad was born in the Bronx. Parent died. He was raised single parent, traveled all over, finally landed back in the city, and he got a full ride to Juilliard on oboe. And
what?
He goes to Juilliard on oboe. He played oboe. He had a full scholarship. Wow. And he goes and he plays, and he's like, I'm never gonna have enough money to raise a family. I gotta find something else, And he gets out of school, and he basically tries to get on Wall Street, and he gets in the Wall Street game, And so he sort of like showed me early on, it's like, just pursue what it is that you want and just go for it. Like we'll make it happen. You'll make it happen. You'll, whatever it is, just do it, And so I think early on, when I think about what I was up to, like, I was in charge of like the youth group at my temple or whatever. I found out in high school that they used to have a ultimate Frisbee team 10 years before us. And my oldest brother, who's 10 years older, he was like, yeah, I remember that. He like remembered who the advisor was, and that guy was still like a history professor. I was like, yo, maybe I can resurrect this thing. And I like found the original document from like back in the day, and we like started Ultimate Frisbee team. And we ran that thing. I mean, there's people that call me Coach Gold to this day because I started it freshman year, and I had seniors who were like, you know, they thought it was hilarious that this freshman kid is like running the team and like trying to like bring back this sport. And like, so I just kind of remember like I liked being kind of in charge of stuff. I liked doing things that were a little more difficult, a little more outside the box. I wasn't scared of it either. Like my parents definitely instilled in me in the, just go for it type of vibe. I was practicing piano since I was 3 years old. I used to
play the piano.
I still play the piano. That's what I play in the band. And so a lot of piano lessons and like the ultimate frisbee and like just kind of general silliness, going to music festivals. I mean, we were big into fish, so I was like going to the fish shows. I remember driving to Maine in high school, like all the way to Limestone, Maine, where they have a crazy festival up there. And like, and I was always just getting it, music, being silly, that kind of thing, that kind of lifestyle was always like what I was just aiming towards, to just have fun. And so when it came to school, it was all about just meeting the right people. And my freshman year, I had a great crew of friends. I remember meeting Kyle, my original business partner, Kyle, with the Funk N Waffles. Yeah. I was just strolling the dorm, and I hear Fish playing in someone's room, and I kind of peek my head in, and within a few moments, I glanced around, and I see a dude, with a beard, and I see a couple ping pong paddles, and I see Fish, and I'm like, what's up? Like, let's chill, and then right there, we created, a friendship that ended up becoming the Funk N Waffles. When we were just throwing house parties, he was my dude. Like, we would go buy silly ingredients, throw a house party, and when it got late, we'd start letting the waffles rip, and we just used to hand them out for free. But then people would be like, oh, can you throw a Funk N Waffles party at my house? And can you do my house next weekend? And we were like, oh, we'll charge $1 or $2 a waffle, try to get like, the chump change that we spent on it, But even that first party, I remember I threw down $100. I was like, Kyle, let's take this $100. Let's go to Wegmans. Let's make this a crazy party. Let's do this thing, And even then it was like, I never expected it to be what it became, but I didn't expect my ultimate frisbee team to make 4th in New Jersey our first year. You know what I'm saying? So like, I just had the confidence to see that, like, just go for it, bro. Like, even with the radio show at SU, I was living in Shaw Hall, and we're right across from WAER. And I'm looking at the station. I'm like, that's an internship. I mean, I'm going to school for television, radio, and film. I walk in and I like get a little internship. It was like writing news at 5 a.m. And I used to go into the DJ's office and be like, hey, good morning, man. Like, what's up? I'm like, hey, if you ever need funk, like, I got the funk tip. Like, and he's like, actually, there's a 3-hour slot on Saturdays. I could give you a funk show. I was like, let's do it.
Was this Z89? Was that or WAER or Z89?
No, it's 88.3. It's the Jazz 88, the FM NPR affiliate.
So, I used to, my friend DJ'd for Z89, and I would go with them from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m.
Yes.
And we were like, no one's listening. Is anybody listening? We would just sit there all night, and we played their discs, and it was a blast.
It's so much fun.
Let me ask you this real quick. So you play the keyboard in the band, but piano-wise, my daughter wants to play we were going to play the piano, but no one plays the piano anymore. There's no pianos at anybody's houses. Like, for me, I grew up playing piano lessons. I feel like the keyboard's different. Do you still play traditional piano or just the keyboard?
I mean, when you're in the band, you can't bring a piano around.
Right, so but even like on the side.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they're just like 500 pounds, so you can't like, they make digital pianos, they make electric pianos, they make things, you know what I mean? But I think it's crucial to have one in the house, especially nowadays on Craigslist. No matter where you live, people they're giving them away. You know what I mean? They're just giving, like, you won't even be charged $1. They'll be like, if you can remove the piano from my house, it is yours,
My mom had one growing up for so long, and she just got rid of it. It was the same thing. She's like, it just sits here.
That's what I'm saying.
But she's trying to keep,
get it. Go get it, man. Like, it's probably good. It's probably a good piano. Like,
yeah.
I got one that sits in my house that my wife grew up playing, and mostly it just like has decorations and stuff on it. And sometimes someone will come through and they're like, yo, does this work? And they'll start banging something out, which is cool.
Shit, I forgot you had a piano, dude.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I mean, piano feels different. There's a lot of weight to it, like the mechanism itself is what gives the keys the feeling. So when you go to digital or electric, you're not going to get the same feeling under your fingers. And so I actually, over the years, and even since like right after high school, I've been collecting vintage electric pianos, and they all have a feeling to them. You know, when you press the note, you're feeling something vibrate, and I prefer those. There's more connection to the instrument. You know, you don't really, there's not like a soul to like a digital instrument, but these Fender Rhodes and Wurlitzer electric pianos and clavinets that I like to, you know, collect and play on stage, you know, you can tell like some dude poured his heart out for 40 years on this thing, you know, and like it's in there. Like, you know, you can feel it. Like the way he played the same 50 notes for 40 years. And like those notes are a little softer, they're a little lower, they're a little more worn in. It's like finding a old electric guitar and like you can see where he was holding the neck because all the paint's worn off, you know.
That's awesome.
So I really dig that kind of like there's a little soul to each instrument. So in our home here, we have a piano parlor, and like there's a bunch of pianos up in there, you know, mostly electric, you know, mostly electric. We're all electric in some way, but some of them are still like acoustical, you know.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
With when you were serving waffles, what made you pick waffles? Like, what was the just easy to make? What was the reason?
You know, I gotta give it to this dude. So I live next to Kyle on Ackerman Ave, which is like a big student housing area, right? And there's a guy who lived on the top floor of his house, and he had a waffle iron, and we used to chill up there. And like late at night, he'd be like, "You guys want to make some waffles?" And I'd be like, "Let's do it," you know. And I remember the first night he asked, I said, "Do you have anything to put in them? Because I don't want like a plain waffle." And so we went to his freezer and his fridge, and we found he had Thin Mints. He had the Girl Scout Thin Mints in his freezer. So we just took the Krusteaz batter mix and threw the Thin Mints and hit the blender and poured Thin Mint waffles. And the first waffle was like a crazy waffle. It was awesome, you know.
Yeah, dude, we did a Thin Mint waffle, or we did Thin Mint pancakes actually, with like a whiskey maple syrup. That type of drunk food, though, with your creativity, especially after partying, what is your like go-to? Like, what was it then, or what is it now? When you're like a little torn up, you're gonna make something, you get home. Like, what's that look like in the Gold House then and now?
Oh boy, let's see. I mean, back in the day, it'd be like Annie's mac and cheese or something. You know, try to whip up a quick Annie's mac. You know, that's the good mac and cheese, like the white shells and cheddar or whatever. Like,
oh yeah,
you know, those are super dope. I think right now, you know, I got 3 kids and one of them's 12 and he's making his lunch. And so our pantry is just like full of all that really good snack time. You know, there's like the Nutella dippers, there's like the Mott's fruit snacks, or the other brand too. There's like, I don't know.
I have all that shit in my pantry too. And
it's tough right now. It's
the girls in the Nutella, they just like dump the breadsticks out and they're just like eating. And I'm like, girl, what happened to the breadsticks? She's like, she doesn't like that part. I'm like,
yeah, it's definitely a problem having all that good stuff in the kitchen, you know.
You know what I love is the Dino Nuggets. Like,
yeah.
I'll come, like, they're the monster bag, and I come home late and I just, like, throw like 50 of them in the toaster oven.
That's usually a Monday night. Like, we'll do the mac and cheese and the nuggets and some peas, and it's like call it a day. You know, you got to have that easy kind of like air fryer meal. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. The dinosaur nuggets, though, I always wondered, like, where do they find dinosaurs so small, man? You know what I mean? Like to whip those dudes up.
The question is, what do they do with the rest of it, since they clearly cut them out with a cookie cutter? Like,
that's what I'm picturing. Someone just like cutting these things out and like,
it's got to be.
It's all dinosaur white meat. Where's the dark meat at, man? That's where the flavor's at.
It's like all natural. Yeah, like nothing's weird about this shape.
Nothing's weird at all. No, like you know, I remember when we found out that McDonald's only has 5 shapes, but because they're so obscure and like created in a laboratory, it looks like 20 shapes. But like, you know what I'm saying? They made those special. It gives
like
you
the one with the knock,
you know.
Yeah, it's like a giant.
Purposely gave you a handle to dip on. Like that was planned.
That's awesome.
It is a handle too. Oh man, yeah. But I'm not gonna hate on a chicken McNugget. The nugs are real, man. They're legit. They can work.
Back in the day, they were so good. You know?
Yeah, they're not the same, and I don't think it's because we got older. I think they like healthed them up or some other bullshit. You know what I mean?
Something changed about everything, but you know. But I'm all about that Impossible Whopper. That thing is crazy good. Have you guys had that?
No,
I have the Impossible brand, dude. They do some good work, man. I can proudly say that I eat that and not be embarrassed. Not like
Yeah.
you kind of had one, you know what I
No,
mean? They're pretty good.
you feel good about it. You know that nothing had to die for it, and
Yeah.
I think it tastes even better. I think it's thicker and juicier and has more flavor than like,
To be fair, I don't think anything had to die for the nuggets at McDonald's either.
Oh man. Oh man. There goes the McDonald's sponsorship.
Yeah.
There it is. See you later.
Cut
So
that.
people dying to do stuff, man. Like you're like at Funk N Waffles. I've been in line to get into shows there, and you've been gracious and hooked us up for shows. They're just dying to get in there and party. So, like, what was the genesis of that, and how is it? How do you still keep it as authentic now as it is? Like, I mean, bro, you've been on TV a bunch of times. Like, you kind of do some things. How does it still feel like the real same place? Walk us through like it.
Man, I think for us, like, and for me, like, the aesthetics are like a really crucial part about the vibe. Like I wanted to make it look in a way and feel in a way inside there that, like, no matter who's working, as long as like someone's not having a terrible experience, they feel really, really good in there. You know what I mean? And we got super lucky with that building. When I found it available for rent, it was an art gallery, and all the walls were covered in white drywall, and it was just Syracuse University using it as like a gallery for their grad students that are from abroad to like have a legit place to put their art. So I just saw white walls and I thought that's what I was going to get. And then the landlord, after we signed the lease or whatever, he's like, "You want me to tear these things down and show you all the brick?" And I was like, "Yeah, that sounds great." I come back a week later and there's like 4 or 5 different 150-year-old brick walls that have like so much character. Some are glossed one way, some are falling apart, some are looking like this, and like instantly tin ceiling brick wall. Like we're just like, oh, this is just coming together. Like, and it was different than the original Funk, which was, on the hill, and
Yeah.
we had to make it physically. But this thing came with so much vibe downtown, so we only had to paint a little bit, and even then we just kept it with our funky purple green kind of purple green orange kind of scheme that we do. IKEA came in clutch. We went and I found some really dope lampshades that have like a copper reflective inside and then like a weird color outside, and that really brought like a lot of, I don't know, it just came together in this really hip way where it's sort of like utilizing the old vibe of the building but bringing some colors and like a palette that's like way different than anything people see in Syracuse.
Yeah, for sure.
And so that was kind of important, is to like, without even the food or anything else, like you got to walk in there and be like, oh, I like this place, like I don't care
Yeah.
what, like I like being inside this space.
Yeah, totally. The place in the hill was awesome. And it makes me think about like the mission of people feeling good, like having a good time.
Yeah.
Definitely lives up to that. So I remember at one point seeing Jay Billis in the one on the hill. I was in there with my sister after a party. And I remember actually at one point, this was in the it was the 90s. Man, it was like maybe early 2000s, maybe. Jay Billis was there, and I remember someone showing me like how to mix the hot sauce with the maple syrup on my chicken. And then later on, you're downtown and you see, like I mentioned, the Tedeschi Trucks bands being there. So you've had this natural thing that draws people to a place where they feel comfortable and that vibe is real. How did that translate to like kind of your TV journey, dude? Like you've been the house band for Guy Fieri's talk show and you were on Guy's grocery games. Like how did that kind of segue your story? And I mean, you're still authentic. How'd that come down?
Oh man. So I was touring a lot, like before the kids and everything, like we were touring all the time, like 150 dates a year, no exaggeration.
Wow.
Thursday through Sunday every week. And I was mostly gone. We had set up a system. I had my business partner Kyle. He was basically cooking and running the restaurant on site, and I was doing all the mail and the back end and like the money part. And I came back from tour, and the answering machine's got like 25 messages, and I'm just sitting there listening to them. Like some random thing here, some random thing there, and then it's like, "Hi, this is the Food Network. Like we want to feature you on diners, drive-ins, and dives. Please give us a call back." And I'm like, uh-oh. And then there's like 2 more messages. And I'm just like, I'm starting to bug. I'm like, wait a sec. you guys, like, how old are these messages? Like, what's going on here? And they're like, oh yeah, someone's been trying to call you. And I'm like, what do you mean someone's been trying to call you? Like, this is like winning the lottery, bro. Like, I hope we're not too late to like take advantage of this, you know? So it was like, we were totally sleeping on it. I mean, no one's picking up the phone. I got college kids working. They're not thinking this is important stuff to call the boss about. And luckily, we sneaked it in there. I got back to them in time, and you know, they had planned on coming to Syracuse. You know, the way the production works is they choose a city, they find 6 to 12 restaurants or whatever, and then they send 2 production teams for a weekend. And then guy shows up for one day at the very end and just bangs out all the episodes. And so we got super duper lucky. I mentioned I'm in the band and I have a music venue, and they loved all that for Diners and Drivers and Dives. So they were like, look, we'll come a day early, we'll film you in the band, and then we'll do the thing with Guy the next day. So they actually gave us a separate segment of just the band playing. And so what that did was, like, the film crew was already in love. You know, they already been to the restaurant. They weren't just there for the last day, but they were there like hanging with us, vibing to the music. And so when Guy finally showed up on the last day with his car and all the other stuff, they're like, yo, Guy, like, this is your dude. Like, you're going to love this guy. He's got a band. They're funky. You know, we gave him a CD. And I think he was, you know, after our episode, he was over at Eva's Polish, you know, Eva's Sweets or whatever, you know, amazing restaurant. And he's like listening to our CD in the car. And he's just like, holy crap, like, get this guy on the phone. And I literally, I'm back in my house trying to relax. I just filmed a TV show for the first time in my life. And I get a call from Guy Fieri, and he's like, hey man, you got to play my birthday party. Like, your band's amazing.
Just the call was directly from him. Like, you're like, hey, it's Adam.
It was from an assistant. I was like, hello. And they're like, it was some number I'd never seen from Minneapolis. They're like, oh, hey, you know, it's Jerry. Like, someone wants to talk to you. I'm like, okay. And then Guy gets on the phone and he's like, Adam, great episode. I love the music. We're going to set you up. You got to come play the birthday party. I'm like, what in the world, you know? Just like totally, I was already bugging, but like now the dude just steps it up a notch, and he always follows through, you know, even way back then. Like, you know, we played his birthday party. He also kicked us a whole bunch of bones. Like, there was a huge food show in Chicago at their huge convention hall. And right there, he was like, if I ever get a late night talk show, you're going to be my house band. And we're like, all right, I mean, we'll believe anything you say, bro. Like, you're still good to us. And then like 8 years later, I get an email and it's like, it's time, bro. We got the late night talk show, Guy's Ultimate Game Night, right in the middle of the pandemic, flies us out to Hollywood. And we do 10 episodes with all these superstars, and we do another show with them. Like, I mean, he's just so legit and so thoughtful and generous. And like, you know, it's just nice to see that like a TV diva is like just such a real down to earth dude, you know?
Yeah. So real quick, you said he showed up with his car. Was he in that red car?
Well, they technically, I don't know if I'm giving away any secrets, but like that car doesn't, I mean, it can drive, but they don't drive it from Cali to Syracuse.
Yeah. But what car? He just like,
they throw it on a freaking, you know, they throw it on like in like a tractor trailer. There's a dude whose job it is to transport that car and make the smoothies in the morning. He literally like parked the truck, got the car off the truck, put it in our driveway so it looked like it was there, and then he goes inside and he's like, "Time to make the smoothies." And he like has like a blender, and he makes the whole team, like all the photo guys and video, like their whole 15-person crew. He makes them all their own special smoothie, and that's his gig, you know. And it's an SS. It's like a, what do they call it? It's that red car that you see on the show, you know.
Yeah, Monte Carlo maybe or something like that.
It's got the SS on it. It's like very thick.
Yeah,
it's customed, beefy kind of. I forget what they call the car, you know. But
that's wild. So they just like drop the car off, and
it doesn't drive. I think he has a few. I think there's like a few of them, but like there's the one for the show, and that's the one that he drives, and he's like, "I'm here on Diners, Drivers." You know, he does that.
Chevy Camaro, maybe.
Yeah, it's probably Camaro SS, something like that.
Yeah. Nelly would like that car.
It's, you know what, people I've watched that show for years, and there's a bazillion episodes of Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives, and people don't realize like he's helping these communities, these places like grow. It's like he's doing like a really awesome thing for small restaurants. And on the surface, you don't see that. You just watch the show, you know.
Yeah, I don't know if people realize what a difference, you know. It just changes everything for you. Even to this day, every day, people come in, They're traveling from far away, and the only reason they're there is because they saw the episode. That's awesome. Like, no question. They like drove off of 90, came all the way down to Syracuse. They got to go to Funk N Waffles, and they might put that on a list like 4 years ago. Like, it's not necessarily, just like
part of their life adventures, man.
Yeah, they're like, whenever we get through Syracuse, we're going to that place. I got to eat that jive turkey, like whatever.
The jive turkey is one of my favorite things in all of Syracuse too. It's dope.
It's just got we've been doing a lot of improvements, and the recipe just got twerked, and you got to come get some of this gravy, bro. We just stepped the gravy game up like infinitely.
I'm down because I think my blood might be like, it's like 10% alcohol and like 14% gravy.
Oh God.
So that's I won't be here long, but I'm here for a good time, not a long time. You know what I mean?
This is like a sipping gravy. Like you can just, it's like put a straw in it, and it's crazy.
Dude, we got to get Funk N Waffles shirts with like a sipping gravy. Maybe it's like you like sipping. I'm totally down with that. With your tie with Guy being a great guy, and you're a great guy, Alex being the massive videographer is going to walk you into this little segment we like to call Sex, Lies, and Videotapes.
Sassy.
So you've seen this clip before. You don't know what it is, but you've seen it. We're going to watch it, and I'm going to have a couple questions about it.
Okay.
So just roll the clip.
Okay.
Well, congratulations, chefs. You have passed your first grocery class. Now I want to celebrate that by making the judges a comfort classic. Sliders. So the question is sliders the dish or the name of the game? Both. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to take your slider, push it, and look at the opportunities of ingredients you must use in your slider. Minestrone soup, mayonnaise, cornbread mix, boxed mac and cheese, instant mashed potatoes, pickles, or who wants to get funky with a little bit of chocolate chip cookie dough?
Dude, this is nuts.
Who'd like to go first? Well, step up, step in, come in and win, son.
I really want mayo. I could bathe in mayo. All right.
Yo!
Booyaka shisha.
Tow truck, play much shuffleboard?
Once at the Jersey Shore.
Once at the Jersey Shore. Here we go.
Come on, shuffleboard. Minestrone it is. I don't believe I've ever had canned minestrone soup before.
Ready? Here we go.
Box mac and cheese.
All right, step back in your spot over there.
Watch this.
So,
Watch what happens.
what do you think is going to happen?
We're going to have to use all three.
You know what? I wasn't even thinking about that idea, but that is a great idea.
Adam!
I was not thinking of that idea. Listen, I'm telling you guys right now, I wasn't thinking of that idea. So you guys get to use in your sliders minestrone soup, mayonnaise, and boxed mac and cheese. All right, chefs, to your cards. Good job. Go.
Don't put this on
I'm
me.
going to play the keyboard.
This is not. Don't put this on me.
That's
That's not on me.
awesome. Chef Adam, what you got for us, buddy?
I have for you a bacon brie and basil apricot aioli minestrone slider.
So first of all, I have like a bazillion questions about that show. It's awesome. It's super cool. And you made a banging slider. The other choices were questionable. I'm going to put Matt on the spot first and give you a second to think. 2 of the 4 ingredients: cornbread mix, pickles, chocolate chip cookie dough, and boxed mac and cheese. Matt, what are you doing with 2 of those ingredients to make a slider?
Well, I got the minestrone already, right? Am I using that stuff or just those?
No, just the chocolate chip. I want to know what you're doing with that chocolate chip cookie dough, because you guys were lucky. Although you probably would have made something awesome, but that's the wild card for me.
The chocolate chip cookie dough is a bit of a stretch, but pickles, I'm going to take the pickles in there. And I have to use all the ingredients?
Just 2.
All right. So I'm going to use the boxed macaroni and cheese, and I'm going to use the flavor packet. And since we're not dealing with a lot of, I got a little bit of time here. I'm going to try to make the slider rolls like with that powdery cheese in that. So every bite has that cheesy mix in it. And then the pickles, definitely, because you could get some pancetta, you could do something else, make the pickles jump up a little bit, or maybe do some seafood stuff with it, make a little tartar sauce. But pickles and the macaroni and cheese into the slider bun somehow is what I'm thinking right
Dude,
off the
that
bat.
powdered cheese into that bun is probably going to be awesome.
Dude, if they made, I mean, I don't know how my wife would feel about it, but if they made like a cologne out of that had that craft powder cheese smell to it, I'm probably gonna get a little rowdy. You know what I mean? A little frisky with it.
Oh my God.
What are you doing, Adam? What's your second choice?
I already did this, fellas. Come on now, you're killing me here. I mean, I would do a Juicy Lucy with the mac and cheese, and then I mean, pickles is already good to go. It's a slider, you know. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not, you know, I don't come from like a crazy culinary background, but I like to eat. So I usually try to just keep it kind of, you know, little basic.
You crushed those rounds though. You just made it seem like it was easy to do that. I want to know what you guys are doing with the chocolate chip cookie though. Neither of you picked that. What do you do with that? What were you gonna do in that moment?
Man, I mean, I'd probably end up like mixing it in with the meat or some weird stuff like that. You know, like you can put breadcrumbs in like burgers to like fluff it up, maybe like chocolate, like mole sauce, maybe give like the burger like a kind of Mexican vibe and use the chocolate and the sweetness and I don't, or you know, you can do is like make a milkshake out of it, you know, and make that like a side, because I've seen them do that on that show where like as long as it's something you're telling them to eat. You know, the reason I really succeeded on that whole season or whatever was like I knew the show really well. Like these other guys were like crazy chefs, but they didn't know which things were going to be like a huge faux pas that would make you fail. You know what I'm saying? They had
strategy,
skill set. Like, but I knew I was like, you can undercook something on that show, but you cannot overcook it. You know, they're very anal. They're anal about certain things. You can over season, but you can't under season. You know, you can like, there's different stuff that are like their rules, and so.
I mean, you crushed it in that show, and you know it's funny though now. Like, I mean, we've collaborated on dishes before, and your willingness to get funky obviously made you good at that show and made you good at what you're doing now. But I think about knowing what you know now versus when you're on that show where you killed it. Like Alex, the chocolate chip cookie dough. I don't know what I would do with that. Adam's probably right. That's the better way to go. But also knowing now, if you asked me this like even 6 or 7 years ago, I wouldn't do what I'm about to say. But I mean, we've made burgers using donuts as the roll before, right? Yeah. And the sweetness and the texture flavor. So you could even make like make some fat chocolate chip cookies, throw a huge burger on that thing, dude. It's got to be pretty good, you know?
It'd be something. It'd be something.
Bacon in there too, like make it. Yeah. No, I agree. It's probably awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that shows, and I'm sure there's a lot of behind the scenes secrets that we'll take offline. I have questions about, but the show is wild. All those shows like where you have to cook. I mean, it's so stressful. It's got to be stressful. Is it actually stressful in the moment? It's got to be wild.
Bro, just imagine me in the morning. It's like 4:45 and we're in the trailer and I'm next to these 3 dudes. One of them's just on a cell phone already. He's like managing his 3 restaurants in Toronto, you know? And then the other 2 guys, they like have their own knives that they flew on an airplane with, you know? Like these guys, I was like, oh, great. First, I could see who the ringer is, which is the dude who won. And he ended up being like, you know, Canadian. He was already on Canadian Chopped. Like he was already like a Food Network star in Canada. So like I knew he was the ringer. And these other 2 dudes were like legit chefs with like freaking knives and stuff. I'm like, oh God, this is going to be a really rough day, you know? But I think my knowledge of the rules is really what saved me, because I was like, I just got to get it done, you know, get it done. Don't mess up. I think one of the guys, like, he like poured ice cream all over one of his meals at the end. And I was like, that's the fail right there. They hate when you take the ingredient and just throw it in there. Like they want to see it transform. They want to see it, you know, like, so I knew like what not to do. And I think that kind of saved me, but I still didn't win. So, you know.
Well, your willingness to get weird, which is one of your hallmarks, made you good on that show. So what we want to, before we get to like our lightning round for you, I want to get some advice for Alex and I. Like we can throw some bangers ourselves, but what are some of the core tenets to throw a banging house party night style? Like tell us about the music, the food that should be there. Obviously, you're going to say waffles, but we want to know, like, we're going to throw a banging 90s party right now. Tell us the basics that people need to know.
Whoa, banging 90s party. Well, luckily the 90s music era was just the best. I mean, Tribe, you could basically just play like 3 Tribe albums in a row and it would just make everybody feel so good. You know what I'm saying? I would definitely keep it like down tempo hip hop, you know. Yeah. Except if you're trying to have like a dance floor, you know, but even that'll work, you know. Yeah. So yeah,
Or tour can dance and be down at the same time. Yeah,
yeah,
try
I
to
mean,
with that. Yeah, yeah.
so that's like, and having music in every room, you know what I mean? Like, depending on how your setup is. Nowadays, they got the Sonos systems. Back in the day, my parents' house, we used to throw parties at my parents' house, and they had like, the house was a new build. So like we had speakers in every room and one CD player. It was sick. It was really sick. So I think just having the right music, the right feeling, food wise, the thing about waffles, man, is like you got to eat them fresh. So it's kind of a tricky hors d'oeuvre unless you're doing like the non-waffles that are like the jive turkey, which is stuffing, a brownie. Like we have waffles that aren't made of waffle batter, but like a typical waffle batter is like it's the best. Like just a few minutes out of the waffle iron, tops. After that,
I don't know, man. After a night of like drinking and there's just cold waffles lying around with syrup, I'd get down on that.
I mean, I'm glad. I mean, it's good for me that you like cold waffles. It's good for me that everybody seems to order them. I mean, dude, when a waffle's sitting in a to-go container for 25 minutes, bouncing around some Uber driver, like I know like the product on the other end is like nowhere close to the way it was when it left. So for me, I think about that. That's what keeps me up at night. Is like, how are people ordering this and like waiting 45 minutes, like
and then coming back for it,
all the time. We got there's regulars. Some people like a soft waffle. I'm not mad at it. I'm not a soft waffle guy, but you can have it soft, buddy. You can have it.
Yeah. There's no shame. Some waffles are harder than others. That kind of how it works sometimes. What drinks are you making in this party, man?
Wow. I think a classic punch, bring us back to that high school day, like just like a big sloppy punch with like a few kinds of liquor in it and make it real strong. And then everyone's got the same drink. They're all feeling the same way.
Yeah.
Things get messy when like a couple people are drinking tequila, a couple people are drinking wine. You got like the intense and the sleepy. You kind of want everyone having just one big old bowl or something,
The vibe changes.
Like a bowl of punch out at parties. Like everyone's too health conscious. Like just a giant bowl where you're just scooping punch.
Dude, we take those Tupperware containers, Alex, and we put in like maybe a case of like light beer, right? Then like a bottle of vodka, a bunch of like pink lemonade or fruit punch. Get it in there, throw some ice in, throw some oranges, and you would just walk up with your cup in your hand. I mean, this is why everybody has like cold sores to this day, because it's just like one scoop and off you go,
Yeah, you might as well get it over with right away, That red Solo cup, bro. I actually have a homie who like married the granddaughter of the inventor of the Solo cup.
No way.
It's like 6 Austrian dudes, and they're just like every cup is worth like 3 cents. It's crazy.
Are they at the weddings and everything? Like in their house, it's like Thanksgiving, and they're serving everything's in Solo cups.
We're talking castles out in Austria, bro. Like 35 bedroom castles. Like that's what Solo's coming from.
Man,
that's legit.
What do you rocking wardrobe wise at this party?
Ooh, I don't know. Well, so back in the day, I would wear what's called a sharwal, which is like kind of like a Indian fishing pants. I used to get them in Israel in the markets there. Everything came from India, and they're kind of like waistband and like really thin, loose kind of batik pants, almost like imagine an MC Hammer pant. Yeah. It's like a little more Middle Eastern. They're nice and light. They're loud, and you can dance in them, and you can get them dirty, and they're worth like $2. So like,
you still have a pairs of those?
I don't fit in any of them. They're around. My wife can wear one or two. They're just kind of, they were pretty wild. I had a lot of really colorful stuff. My mom literally used to steal my hats and my clothes because she didn't want me dressing so flamboyantly. You know what I mean? She was like trying to like tame it, and I remember she took the first leopard skin hat that I got at the Rainforest Cafe, right?
Oh, hell yeah, dude.
And then I think I bought 2 of them, and then she took them both. She was like hiding them from me. So I went and I called Rainforest Cafe, and I had them send me 3 more. And then like the third time she saw it and she realized that she has 2 and I keep getting them, she like gave up. She was like, all right, there's no fighting this kid. Like he's gonna wear whatever the hell he wants.
That's awesome. I used to rock the Zubas, the old school Zubas. I remember about like 8. My grandma bought me like 8 pairs, like purple, like different. They're so comfortable too.
So comfortable.
So one more thing about this party, because like I think about the different decorations at Funk N Waffles, or like this party that we threw. We threw it in Soundgarden, so we threw a party in a record store, which was sick. And there's like pogs and like people like playing like Skip It, Al, right? Where people jumping on that.
Skip It, Hawk Boy.
Oh yeah, dude. So what are the props and what are the fun things to play with and do at an Adam Gold 90s banger?
Ping pong table, definitely. Disco ball, UV black lights. I mean, my basement was party central. Like my parents helped me. We installed a disco ball motor inside the drop ceiling that popped out, and we had a legit 12-inch disco ball with spotlights mounted to the ceiling. I literally had a disco ball in my basement and black lights and all the trippy posters. And you got to have that lava land stuff. I mean, that was the whole vibe. I had a drum set and my keyboard set up, and we should just throw little parties and just get weird, all night.
I don't know, man. Funk N Waffles wasn't a fluke. Like you were living that, just minus the waffle.
Man, it's wild to think about it. My folks are 82 and 80, and I never think about it that way, but they definitely they let all this crazy stuff go down, and they're pretty conservative people. You know what I mean? Like, they're not at all wacky like this, but they were down to be supportive. My dad was all about the music. He was always like, music, do it, whatever it is, play the music, because I think he felt like he gave up the oboe so that he could have a family, and so, and he kind of lost his ability to like hold a tune and, like snap to the beat. He kind of like lost his musicalness. So I think having kids that could be musical, I think it was huge for him. And it kind of came full circle. So he was just super supportive of that, no matter what it meant. If I'm wearing leopard skin hats and being ridiculous, he was like, go for it,
Yeah, but I mean, they recognize, it can tell you were raised by good people, not just because you're a good dude, but they saw something in you and that creative stuff. And they're like, yo, dude, we're going to ride or die with this kid. So to that end, we're going to come into the last section, man. And now it's time for you to ride the lightning. So we're going to throw you some lightning round questions. Okay. Alex, why don't you fire up the electric chair, bro?
Here we go.
Okay, ready? These are pretty straightforward.
Right.
Okay. Nas or Tupac?
Tupac.
Why?
So funky. I mean, think of these bass lines. These samples were they're insane. And that's a tough one because Illmatic is like very, very important. But I think if I had to go overall funk level, it was an easy choice. Tupac he did it,
Yeah, that's a super tough question. So I'm glad I'm not answering it. So you're gonna have, now imagine this is a single Adam, nobody's getting in trouble, nothing like that at all. You have a preferred weekend getaway date. All right. So you're traveling, you're going away for the weekend. Are you gonna go for this little fun little romantic weekend with Jessica Rabbit or Carmen Sandiego?
Jessica Rabbit, I guess. I don't even think, do we ever get to see what Carmen Sandiego looks like? I thought that's kind of the whole point, is like
she's got like a red cape and like and a red and she's like gone all the time.
We don't really know what she looks like, I know.
You're gonna be away and she's gonna be like, where the hell did she go? Yeah.
Definitely know what Jessica Rabbit looks like. So
plus Jessica Rabbit's foxy as hell, dude.
She's also a rabbit. Let's just put that in like she's a rabbit.
Yeah. No, she's a human. She was just married to a rabbit.
She was a rabbit at one point.
Rabbit. She's a full-blown rabbit.
Oh, she is?
Isn't she a rabbit?
I think she. Well, now
you guys are thinking of Bugs Bunny dressed up as a girl.
No.
Jessica Rabbit was married to Roger Rabbit, dudes.
I think they're both rabbit.
I'd still stick to my choice, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, best gaming system of the 90s. Best video game system of the 90s.
Super NES, man. I mean, that's where it all went down, man. That was GoldenEye. Oh no, GoldenEye's 64. But I guess what we were playing all the time was Street Fighter 2 Turbo. Street Fighter 2 Turbo. Oh, and the OG Mario Kart.
Yeah, dude.
Mario Kart, SNES, Mario Kart all day. And plus, that's the only one I really had. But I did have a homie who had it all, and he had the Neo Geo, and he had like whatever these other things were called, like nobody
Sega
had.
Saturn. Remember Sega? They had like the Sega channel where you could just like, that was before like Netflix. It was even in like that idea of searching for your titles, and you could just go on, I don't know, the internet, I guess, at the time.
My buddy had Sega CD, the poor bastard.
CD.
It was only there for like a year before they realized it was terrible. And then
Sega tried everything to beat Nintendo, and none of their shit worked. N64 is awesome though. Like GoldenEye, 1080
Yeah.
snowboarding, Tony Hawk. Like
The rest of the Mario games in there were tight.
My only last system was the SNES.
Wow.
It was awesome. It was sick.
All right, so you gotta wear a pair of kicks. It's the last pair of kicks you can have. Are you wearing Jordans or Air Force Ones?
Neither, bro. I'm wearing like Adidas. I'm wearing these purple Adidas Sambas is what I'm wearing, bro.
Sambas. All right, put on those shoelaces. Hell yeah, dude.
I actually, like, the band was on tour. We were in San Francisco. We went to Harpits, which is the American importer of Adidas shoes. And you go in there, there's like 70,000 shoes in boxes. And I found 4 pairs of size 13 purple and green Sambas. They were already my favorite sneak, but I still have a pair unworn, and these are like 12 years old. Like, they're sick.
Dude, I have some shoes too like that. I respect that answer. I love both those other brands though, big time, but I do respect that answer.
I never did them. Like, my bandmates, they're all over the Nike and the Air Force. They're all over that, but I was just always more of Adidas, Puma, Onitsuka Tiger, like more of those kind of like flat footers,
Sure.
I could see a custom Air Force One Funk N Waffles shoe would be pretty sick though. The purple.
There's that dude what's the guy's name in Cortland or whatever who makes the crazy customs? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, we have a couple pairs of them, dude. We have a Spatchcock Funk pair. They're sick.
What's the guy's name?
Shoebiz Designs.
Oh, there's like another dude too who's making customs down there.
Really?
Yeah, what's his name? Yeah. Oh, I got to see yours. That sounds dope.
Yeah.
Okay, so big feud in the 90s, also a little bit of the 80s. Macho Man, Randy Savage, or Hulk Hogan?
Oh my God. Macho, just because he's even funnier. Like, he was so funny.
Yeah, dude. He hated Hogan. He had like a whole rap album about how much he hated Hogan, and I think it took into like real life. Like, I don't think he liked the dude at all.
No, I don't think he liked him. That's great.
I think that's, and with respect to Hulk Hogan, I think that's the right answer, dude. Macho Man, dude. He's
so crazy.
He's the best. On Arsenio Hall, Macho Man said that Hulkamania is nothing but a grain of sand in the Sahara that is macho madness. That's what's up, dude. Okay, one more question, but these are the custom Spatchcock Funk Air Force One.
Snap, dude. Oh
yeah, man.
Snap.
We're pretty
buddy. Whoa, buddy. You know a dude who makes those?
Yeah, my wife got them for us, and we know the guy that makes them. We'll connect you with him, dude.
Nikes. I'm in. Let's go.
He hooked it up. Okay, the last question. 90s, and this is the Adam Gold 90s answer. Could be the Adam Gold today answer. Would you rather have an incredibly awesome killer craft cocktail or just a little bit of some really, really good weed?
That's a tough one. I guess the craft cocktail or something, because I'm so spoiled when it comes to the weed game. I just don't think I'd be impressed, I've been around the world. I've seen a lot of things. It's much harder to get a good craft cocktail.
Oh, dude. I love the answer, and I love how honest you are. So to all the people out there, this is the great Adam Gold. Keep watching Spatchcock Funk on PBS. Download the stuff. Get to Funk N Waffles. Go to Spotify. Check out Sophistafunk. Know this man, and thank you so much, Adam. Alex, what's up? Appreciate y'all so much, dude.
You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for having me.